Hey everybody, it's Justin Hilton. I'm the founder of SafePlace International, and I'm just recently back from visiting a lot of our communities around the world, and I've just been left in awe of the amazing work we're doing in so many countries and the impact of our community members who are living under constant threat. Food shortages, housing shortages, safety shortages, their loved ones being raped and killed, no path for asylum, and still they're feeding people at orphanages, they're going into townships, they're gathering clothes donations and taking them to the homeless, they're doing HIV education on the street, they're speaking to parliament, they're forming their own community impact projects, they're starting gardens, they're starting farms in the most hostile environments you can imagine. And as I witnessed in all of these countries, in all of these refugee camps, the potency of each of these amazing people. We have over 1,000 graduates now. I started to think about, how did this all start? How did I get to be so fortunate to be a part of this amazing movement, this amazing group? And so I wanted to just spend a few moments remembering how this all started. So it started in 2015. I was traveling around the world and I was really motivated to make a difference. And I was funding small grassroots nonprofits that were doing incredible work, but were completely off the radar. And what I was interested in was, how were they making such a strong impact with very limited resources? And so I would offer some funding to them, and I would study what they were doing, and I would travel, whether they were orphanages or whether they were working on women and girls education or trafficking or LGBT liberation in India. I was all over the place. I was in Cambodia, I was in Bangladesh, I was in India, and I was going to a lot of these places and passing through Turkey, and I heard about the Syrian refugee crisis, and I started to work with some small grassroots organizations there, funding organizations that were working with kids and working with families, getting kids out of factories and back in school, supporting Syrian families. And I got very attached to that Syrian community and would stop on my way to India and different parts of Asia, and I would be fed profusely by these amazing Syrian moms. Just keep feeding me, keep feeding me. And in one of my visits, a trans woman was beheaded in the streets of Istanbul by a mob. And I was shocked by this, because Istanbul has always been a place that I held as a sanctuary for our community, and a place of relative tolerance and safety, and it was not that at all. And so as I went a little bit deeper, I found that people were coming from Africa, they were coming from the Middle East, they were coming from Syria, they were coming from all over the place, and they were forced into the communities that they had left the people that were trying to kill them back home because of language barriers, and they were rejected or in danger in those communities, so they were forced into safe work, and then they were raped and killed with no due process. No one even knew who they were. In a city of 15 million people, there were no LGBT shelters at that time. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna fund it. I'm gonna make this happen. And I partnered with the US 501c3 and worked with local activists. It took 6 months, but we found a safe location. We rented a 5-story building, and we opened the shelter. It instantly filled up with 25 people, and we were doing outreach work, and it was really an amazing start and an inspiring start. And a couple months later, I got a call from those activists saying, we have no food and the utilities are being shut off. And I discovered, after a little investigation, that the founder of that nonprofit that I had given a year's operating funds to had absconded with the money. I really felt a deep connection to the folks that were community members at the shelter and to the staff that was running it. So I flew to Istanbul and got very hands-on and involved, and fell in love with this community, and really discovered that once we addressed the safety issues and once we got food in bellies, this was such a wealth of human resources. This was such a wealth of compassion, of empathy, of creativity, of leadership talent. You know, the kind of people that the world's waiting for, that the world needs in leadership. And so we started to do a lot of trauma healing work and a lot of coming together and really beginning to find who each of us are. And we had some great circles on our own, and we invited friends like Alanis Morissette in to facilitate those cycles, and we started to connect this community to the world. And meanwhile, I was also going to Athens and couldn't help but want to help the people in Athens, and started with one shelter and quickly grew to 18 shelters. And as we had 18 shelters and over 100 people housed, we knew that we needed a community center. So we, with Alanis' help and some of the other amazing early supporters, we bought a community center. And we started doing incredible work there, vocational training, and a lot of healing work, a lot of community building, a lot of outreach, a place where anyone could come and just be safe and be themselves. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing. We started a shelter on Lesbos. We started all kinds of skills training workshops in other locations. We started doing food distribution, and then COVID came. And as COVID came, there was no ability to move in Greece. Everybody was locked down. And all of our community members, who were 5 people in a 1-bedroom apartment, started to feel those symptoms of trauma that had been really shifting for them in the work that we've been doing. And we realized we had to quickly try to emulate the work that we were doing in person online. So we developed a curriculum and a program, and at that time we didn't have enough English-speaking people to fill the capacity of who we wanted to touch. We wanted to touch at least 50, 75 people. So we reached out, because we'd been supporting safe houses run by refugees in Kenya and South Africa. We reached out to those people and we said, hey, do you want to be part of this? And they said yes. In that first Dream Academy, we threw everything at it. It was meditation, it was yoga, it was trauma work, it was leadership training, it was skills training. And the transformations were absolutely breathtaking, absolutely inspiring. And many of those people who were in that very first class are now senior staff members. They're facilitators of the Dream Academy. The Dream Academy is 100% refugee-led. It's 100% graduate-led. I'm the only facilitator that is not a graduate, and I'm so grateful that they let me stay around. So as we developed the Dream Academy, we didn't advertise, we didn't tell anyone about it, but it spread by word of mouth. So if there were refugees in Kenya that were from Uganda, they let the people in Uganda know about the program, and we had a Uganda class. And if there were people from Zimbabwe, they let their friends back home in Zimbabwe know. And then we had 4 countries and 5 countries and 6 and 8 and 13. Now we're in over 20 countries, and we have over 1,000 graduates. And our graduates are doing their own social impact projects. They're talking to Parliament. They're changing policy in Botswana. They're working with Parliament in South Africa. They're speaking to the UN in Kenya. The impact of giving severely marginalized people, people that have had the worst possible violence and oppression, just a little bit of confidence, just a little bit of reflection for the power and potency that they bring to this world, it is absolutely astounding. And so I feel very grateful and very fortunate for all of you out there who have supported this work because you knew in your heart that it was the right thing to do. That the most marginalized people in the world are worth investing in, they're worth lifting up, not only for their sake, but for the world's sake. Because there's a certain quality of compassion, of understanding, of ability to take action and to be resilient through all circumstances that this community has, that the larger privileged community is missing. We need our community members in positions of leadership. And that's our commitment at SafePlace. So thanks for joining us in that mission, and thanks for being our partner.